Okay, first off, I'd like to recognize all of our volunteers today. Would the club volunteers please stand and be recognized? Thanks a million, we couldn't do it without you. Okay, for any of you that have given anything to Food Shelf or donated, and the person who does the logistics of that is Norm Davis. Norm has been doing this for 15 years. I'm hardly that old. So, anyway, Norm, would you please stand up? Are you here?
And there it is.
Norm! Norm! Okay, so any of the donations, what Norm does is he'll collect not just the money, but any of the foodstuffs, clothing, anything. I don't know what comes in through that chair over there, but Norm gets those delivered for us. So Norm, thanks a million. We appreciate it. We're going to miss you.
You're welcome.
Round of applause for Norm, please. Next Thursday, there's going to be a meet and greet fundraiser for Adam Hattersley. And he's the candidate for CFO to take out Jimmy Petronas. Yeah. And we're going to be from 11 to 3, and I'm going to put my specs on. That's at 3383 Conservation Trail. And that's Ellen and Ken, Undugan and Ken, are donating their home to host us. So please make it if you can. Stop in. We appreciate it.
From 11 to 1.
Okay, here's our agenda for today. We're gonna talk about. We're gonna present defending democracy, removing Rubio. Derailing DeSantis. Restoring reproductive rights. And saving Social Security. And these are going to be videos except for saving Social Security. John Bauman is going to be joining us. You might all know him as Bowser from Kanana. So why don't we spin this up, Rick?
If we stand here today, 1 year since January 6, 2021, the lies, the trolls, the anger and madness we saw in this place, they have not abated. So we have to be firm, resolute, and unyielding in our defense of the right to vote and to have that vote counted. I did not seek this fight brought to this Capitol 1 year ago today, but I will not shrink from it either. I will stand in this breach. I will defend this nation. And I will allow no one to place a dagger at the throat of democracy. We will make sure the will of the people is heard, that the ballot prevails, not violence. And authority in this nation will always be peacefully transferred. I believe the power of the presidency and the purpose is to unite this nation, not divide it. To lift us up, not tear us apart. To be about us, not about me. Deep in the heart of America burns a flame, lit almost 250 years ago, of liberty, freedom, and equality. This is not a land of kings or dictators or autocrats. We're a nation of laws, of order, not chaos, of peace, not violence. Here in America, the people rule through the ballot, and their will prevails. So let us remember, together, we're one nation, under God, indivisible. That today, tomorrow, and forever at our best, we are the United States of America.
Okay, there's going to be on the 17th, there's going to be ballot drop-off cart rally. We're going to assemble at Eisenhower at 10:30 or 10 o'clock. We're going to leave there at 10:30 to get to the Gold Dome down on Powell Road, Pinellas. And just so happens that Chief Demings is going to be visiting us that day in her bus tour. So she's going to meet us at Eisenhower, cheer us on, and hopefully get a cart ride with one of us down to the Gold Dome. Okay, and here's Ms. Demings to talk about her campaign and removing Rubio.
People ask me, Val, where do you get your tireless faith that things can always get better? I got it here in Jacksonville, Florida. When you grow up in the South, poor, black, and female, you have to have faith and progress and opportunity. My father was a janitor and my mother was a maid. She said, Val, never grow tired of doing good. Never tired. Work hard, not just for yourself, but for others. So I went to Orlando to serve as a police officer. Met my husband and #1 partner in crime fighting, Sheriff Jerry Demings. I ended up serving 27 years. I just never got tired of it. Eventually, this working mom worked her way up to chief of police.
Orlando's violent crime this year is down.
Murders, robberies, aggravated assaults, total violent crime, all lower than a year ago.
Under her leadership, there has been the most dramatic decrease in violent crime in the city's history.
They said we never lowered crime, but I said never tired. And after all that, I still wasn't tired. So I ran for Congress and got back to work.
Congresswoman Val Demings,
member of the House Homeland Security, Judiciary, and Intelligence Committees.
I've never tired of representing Florida, not for one single moment.
Val Demings is someone who has taken the oath of office not just in Congress, but to protect and serve.
And along the way, we brought law and order to a lawless president. He is an habitual offender committing crimes in progress. Unlike some in Washington, I never tire of standing up for what I believe is right, because no one is above the law. But it turns out there are some in Washington who prefer the same old tired ways of doing business. Too tired to fight the efforts to suppress the people's vote. They fall back to tired talking points and backward solutions.
He knows his There it is, memorize 25-second speech. That's what Washington, D.C. does.
My mother told me when someone gives you the opportunity to do something big, do not disappoint them. I'm running for the United States Senate because of 2 simple words: never tired. Over the next few weeks, I hope to share more of my story with more of you. It's a simple question. Can my unlikely story of opportunity expand to more Americans and more Floridians?
Okay, like I said earlier, Ms. Demings is going to be with us on the 17th and on her statewide bus tour. So anyway, for that day, that cart rally to deliver votes, is we're collaborating with the Democratic Women's Club of the Villages, Suffolk County DEC, and the Village Democratic Club. Thanks everybody for participating in that and doing all the heavy lifting to set that up. And please join if you can. Hand deliver your ballot. The last time we did this, we had 300 cards. And the Republicans were spouting off about getting 100 cards or 70, something like that. So, you know, we do really well on these. So we're going to meet at the Eisenhower Rec Center at, try to be there by 10, and we're going to leave there at 10:30, and Ms. Demings has to leave at noon. So anybody, please join. We appreciate it. And Rick, let's move to the next one.
Video.
You all know who this is.
Florida is my home. There's so much to be proud of, but this doesn't represent us.
You are pushing false narratives.
Don't say gay bills.
To pick a big fight with Disney, a 15-year abortion ban, no exceptions for rape or incest.
I'm standing in your way.
Reprimanding high school students who raised him.
Why they expected to run for president in 2024.
It's a strange phenomenon that's happened in the age of Trump, which is that displays like that are somehow viewed as strength.
Florida, we deserve better. Somebody who actually wants this job. I've spent my whole life fighting for the people of Florida. As the grandson of immigrants, I know what it means to live the American dream. It starts by building the middle class and lifting people up. And as governor, I was proud of what we accomplished. But now, Ron DeSantis is attacking Florida. He says he's all about freedom, but only if you do what he says. He's banning a woman's right to choose, disenfranchising black voters.
It's just another attack on the black community by this governor.
For him, politics is all about power, resentment. He wins, you lose.
This campaign is right versus wrong. What's the matter with that guy?
But I'm running for governor to stop and build a Florida that works for everyone.
He is a governor of the people.
And I made it about going from one side or the other, but really bringing people together.
I'll tackle the affordability crisis and stand up to the special interest. Create good paying jobs. Protect your reproductive freedom. And build a Florida for all. We can do this together. We can stand up to the hate. And with your help, we will win in November.
Okay, last Thursday, just 2 days ago, Ms. Hernandez, Carla Hernandez was at the DEC headquarters, speaking to a crowd, I don't know, maybe 50 people, I don't know. I mean, on short notice, that's a pretty good crowd. Those of you that didn't show up, you missed the donuts. And coffee. So, this next video was recorded by her. During that time, she was gracious enough to do a one-on-one video. And I believe, I'm not sure if this got posted on YouTube yet, but anyway, this is Mr. Chris, Lieutenant Governor running mate, Carla Hernandez.
He's trying to suppress the vote. Okay? He's trying to suppress. That happened this session with this governor. It was his map. He's suppressing the vote. So they're taking away women's rights. They're taking away voting rights. They're not addressing affordability. They're attacking teachers. I mean, all of this is going on. And people are concerned and people are starting to see it. So here's what I want you to know. There are Republicans out there that are not buying his baloney. Yes. Okay, there are. So talk to them. You have friends. have a lot of friends in the villages, right? In Sumter County. There are a lot of Republicans that are not buying it. I talked to them. They come up to me and they said, I really wanted to hear you. I really wanted to hear what your message was. And I have to tell you, I'm very disappointed with what's happening in this state, and I'm gonna vote for you guys. They'll say that to us. And so we have to get more of that. Don't be afraid to talk to people and tell them what we're about. Tell them about our platform. Because we really are trying to make sure we lift all boats at the same time. We care about our communities. And Charlie cares so much about communities. Hi everyone, I'm Carla Hernandez, the nominee for Lieutenant Governor with Charlie Crist, and I am here in your county in Sumter, but I want to give you a very special hello. I want to give all the Villages Democratic Club members a warm thank you and just embrace you if I could, but I met so many of the residents here this morning, and you all are doing amazing work, so keep it up. Keep organizing, keep mobilizing, get the vote out. We have 5 weeks till the election, and every vote matters. If you want more information about Charlie Crist and myself, go to charliecrist.com and let's get out to vote. Let's make sure that we win.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ms. Hernandez is an educator. During the meeting, she pulled all the teachers, educators up front and had a group photo. So it was very nice. Do you know if Mr. Bauman's on, Rick?
Not on.
Not yet, okay. Why don't we go to Amy Weintraub, please. Okay, Amy Weintraub is a reproductive rights program director from Progress, Florida. And she's a longtime organizer for women's rights, and she was also with Planned Parenthood. So spin it up, Rick, please.
Hi, Sumter County Democrats. It's Amy Weintraub here, Reproductive Rights Program Director for Progress, Florida, and local committee woman for Precinct 202 in South Pinellas County. And I bring you greetings from all of the fellow Democrats down our way. But I'm here today to talk with you about what we are seeing on the ground regarding abortion rights and allied movements. And of course, as Democrats, we support the party platform on this issue, which means that we believe that every American should have access to quality reproductive health care that includes abortion, regardless of where we live, how much money we make, or how we're insured. Now, we had a big setback this summer, as you all know, with the Supreme Court's decision overturning Roe v. Wade. And that was a terrible thing, one of the, the saddest days in the history of the feminist movement for sure. But I will say that we think that they went way too far. Those anti-abortion justices just went too far, and that they are likely to pay a price for that. They, being conservatives, are likely to pay a price for that at the ballot box. What we're seeing polls-wise that I thought you'd be interested in hearing is that the latest polls show that 61% of 6 in 10 voters want abortion legal in all or most cases. And that there are some other interesting things that came out regarding the polling, and that is that women's rights have become a higher voting priority for voters, and that includes a 16-point shift among Republican women. And also men of reproductive age, that is young voters between the ages of 18 and 44, became more likely to prioritize abortion rights as a voting issue, something that they would make their decision based on. Also, Republican women became 10 points more likely to vote for candidates who support abortion rights. So these things, in addition to the fact that black female voters have become more mobilized, believing that their families will be seriously and negatively impacted by the decision. More black women than ever, from 10 points to a 35-point jump, believe that the Dobbs decision that overturned Roe will increase the chances of teenagers becoming pregnant, increase in miscarriage for all women, those sorts of things. So with this new interest and knowledge about the negative effects of restrictions on abortion, abortion has become an important and critical talking point for Democrats, not only as we talk about amongst ourselves and motivating each other to do all we can to get progressive candidates elected, but also as we talk to Republicans, and certainly as we talk to those with no party affiliation. Senator Marco Rubio certainly didn't do himself any favors when he signed on as a co-sponsor of a national 15-week abortion ban. And that happened just in the last few weeks. So discussing that and reminding people of just what a zealot he is a really, really good idea. And of course, reminding everyone about how gleeful Ron DeSantis was last spring when he signed Florida's 15-week abortion ban. We've got to do all that we can to get Charlie Crist elected. That will be a game changer for abortion rights. Not only will he assuredly veto any anti-abortion legislation that is passed, but he also will be able to appoint judges to our Supreme Court and other courts, and that will take us back to where we were, where the courts weren't so aligned with the right and with the Federalist Society. So these things are so important, and I personally, having been involved with the repro movement my whole adult life, over 30 years, I have never seen a campaign where abortion is something that we are actually seeing candidates talk about, our candidates talk about with pride and without any anxiety, because they know it's a winning issue. No one wants to see reproductive rights set back. No one wants to see their children or their grandchildren have fewer rights over bodily autonomy and life planning. And so we must stand up for abortion rights. We must get these folks elected who will join us. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Amy. We appreciate it. Mr. Baumann, are you on board?
I'm here.
Wonderful. Okay, just a little intro. I don't want to step on you, but Mr. Baumann, all you folks might recognize him as Bowser Chaminade. And anyway, I believe he's in Pennsylvania right now, campaigning for a House candidate who's pledged to preserve and increase Social Security and Medicare. That's important to us seniors down here. It should be important to everybody. And
I'm in my
so go ahead, Mr. Baumann.
22nd campaign, I believe, today. And hopefully I'm doing okay. I'm in a hotel in the Poconos. So I'm in the middle of a mountainous area. I'm on my way to Matt Cartwright's campaign this afternoon. I just spent 2 days with Tom Malinowski, which is one of the toughest households in the country. And the House of Representatives is going to be a mad scramble, I think, down to the wire this time. The Senate may be a little better, we'll see. But either way, in order to continue to accomplish anything for the next 2 years, we've got to try to hold on to both of them. Now, the big news from my point of view relative to this meeting is that it looks like I'm coming there on the 17th of October with Val Demings. I look forward to that. This just sort of solidified itself. And I'm more than happy to do it. She's one of my very favorites and has been for a very long time. In fact, when she very first ran and actually didn't quite make it. She ran in a virtually impossible district, the way it was drawn at that time, and got within 3 points of Danny Webster, who's still in the House, much safer. The district is still safe for him. But at any rate, Val made a tremendous impression. I went there for her, and we kind of bonded. And this is quite a long time ago now, we're in a decade. And we've remained friends ever since. I did encourage her to make this run for the Senate seat or for the governorship, whichever she chose. And this was the choice that she made. And I'm just really thrilled to be able to come there and do whatever I can to help her out. As you all know, senior issues are in the top echelon on the front burner issues now in this cycle. And they were made so by what seemed like very bizarre, unforced errors on the part of the Republican leadership. Somebody you're really familiar with, Rick Scott. The rest of America is a lot less familiar with him. They learned pretty quickly that he's not just nobody. He's somebody who's part of Senate leadership. He's in fact the head of the National Republican Senatorial Committee, and he just out of the blue came up with his 11-point plan to ruin America. He claims it's to rescue America, but this includes ending all federal programs in 5 years, which is one of the craziest suggestions that anybody's ever come up with. And, all of these federal programs, then they'll just decide whether we're going to continue these programs after 5 years, and that includes Social Security and Medicare, the two most successful domestic programs in the entire history of the United States of America, programs that have kept more senior Americans out of poverty than everything else combined. The hard cold reality of this is that before Medicare was passed in 65, 35% of American seniors still had incomes below the poverty line. And before Social Security was passed in 1935, over 50% of American seniors, more than half of American seniors had incomes below the poverty line. We've gotten used to the expression go into the poorhouse as kind of an idle cliche or some kind of proverbial expression. It didn't come from nowhere. It came from the fact that before Social Security was passed, if your kids didn't take you in, you went to the poorhouse. It was a very real factor of senior life in America. So the current poverty rate among seniors is something like 8.7%, which is pretty much equivalent to the poverty rate of the rest of the population. And that is proof positive that Social Security and Medicare have, in fact, done the job that they were intended to do, despite continuing opposition from the Republican Party, continuing and emboldened opposition from the Republican Party, including these very strange schemes to let's just do away with the whole thing. Ron Johnson, senator from Wisconsin, who seems to be trying to backtrack from this wacko statement, gave Rick Scott one better and said he thought that Social Security should just become discretionary spending, meaning we should look at it every year and decide whether in fact we're going to bother to give their money that they have contributed through their entire working lives to Social Security, whether we're going to bother to give that money back to them, their actual earned benefits, which of course these people all refer to as entitlements, in order to try to turn them into something negative, something pejorative, something that's going bankrupt, which they're not, if nobody even lifted a finger and did nothing, between now and 2035, in 2035, Social Security would still pay out 80% of its benefit. But you'll hear every minute of the day that it's going bankrupt and that it's not going to be there for the younger generation. And, you know, they've used these scare tactics rather effectively over the years, you know, because scare tactics basically work. So, you know, it really has been only Democrats that have come up with, first of all, come up with those programs in the first place. Understand that these programs, you know, Social Security, when it was passed in the Franklin Delano Roosevelt administration, was vigorously opposed by Republicans the entire time. And they did have impact on it. The cap, which is probably a little bit more in the weeds than we have time to go into today, but, you know, we may bring it up on the 17th. The cap, which still needs to be adjusted, it's always been there, and it was part of the compromise in getting the program passed. And similarly, when Medicare was passed in '65, you know, by LBJ with a mostly favorable Congress, but not without significant opposition, and things like Medicare being able to negotiate with pharmaceutical companies to get lower drug prices was never part of the deal. Only right now, for the first time in American history, has a bill been passed, the Inflation Reduction Act, to get a great big foot in the door where Medicare is going to be able to, for the very first time, negotiate with drug companies to get lower drug prices. And that will start and have to pay for everything as it goes. But this is the biggest foot in the Medicare door that there's ever been, and that foot will never come out. It's going to be a modest amount of pharmaceuticals at first. It's going to get bigger, and they're never going to be able to reverse this no matter how hard they try, because reversing it will mean that all of our consumers pay more for their prescription drugs, and that just ain't going to happen. So this was done completely by Democrats. There was not one Republican vote for it. And of course, they're trying to sweep that back under the rug as hard as they can at this point. So, you know, this was a tremendously successful 2 years, a really remarkably successful 2 years, considering we had a 50-50 Senate and a very close margin in the House. We hope to have 2 more good years, but the only way we're going to do that is to more Democrats, better people, expand the Senate majority, get rid of the filibuster, hold the House majority, hopefully expand it, and be able to pass some of the progressive policies that have been the Biden agenda has really been, you know, remarkably good. And considering the obstructionism even within the Democratic Party, lots has gotten done. So I'll see you on the 17th. I look forward to seeing you on the other bow. And as bows are my favorites, it's before my breakfast here, so I'll do the best I can. Bum, 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 dang, 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 ding, dong, ding, vote for Democrats.
Thank you, Mr. Baumann. We appreciate it. Or maybe you could catch a cart ride around. Okay, let's move on to the next one, Rick. Thank you, Mr. Baumann. We'll see you on the 17th.
The end of the 17th. Freeze for peace.
There we are. Ash is a local candidate. All these other individuals and statewide and national issues. But Ash is our local candidate for Florida House District 52. He can't be with us today. I believe his opponent is anyone knows his opponent? John Temple, okay. I think he was the past president of the village's Republican Party or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, I know he's well connected in the conservative side. So, spin it up, Rick, and let's go.
I came to America almost little over 53 years ago, 1969, to Carnegie Mellon University. I was there 2 semesters, got my master's by May of 1970. September of 70, I decided to stay in America. And the first thing I did was sign up for the draft. The law recently had started in America in service.
I understand it.
I got married in 74, 1977, I became a citizen, and the rest is history. Coming to the issues in this election, the homeowner insurance have become a major fiasco. The insurance rates keep spiking. These are policies of the state government last 20 years. They're coming to a boil now. And something has to be done, and I believe what you have to do is change the law. To change the law, you have to elect different people like me who are going to make a change. You absolutely need that change. You need a new CFO to handle the money. You definitely need a new insurance commissioner. The current insurance commissioner is just catering to the insurance company. And according to Senator Jeff Brandes of Pinellas County, he's a Republican, he said we need major reform in the litigation and insurance law. That's what we need for insurance. If we're going to do anything, otherwise our rate will keep spiking this year and next year, and there is no end in sight. The state gave $2 billion for reinsurance last May. Those $2 billion are gone in this hurricane. The insured damages are about $47 billion or more. So $2 billion doesn't mean anything. And coming to taxes, let me just tell you a little history of our current representative, Brett Haig. Brett Haig started one election in 2018. He was working for P&D Distribution, and he was our representative. By 2020, he was a part-time employee of the developer in the villages, and his paycheck for part-time job was $141,000. Last year, he was a part-time, he became a part-time villages employee and our representative. And his paycheck was $350,000, and I claim that was because he helped pass the impact fee law last year, which is actually keeping our taxes high in Sumter County. And now, coming to this year, Brett Haig dropped out of the race because I complained so much about this this year also. So the developer took his employee out, and he has replaced him with my opponent, who is supported by the developer and developer's friends. We have given him $175,000 already in campaign money. And it's not like he's keeping the money, he has already spent $154,000. So he knows big time. If he gets elected, you can be sure he'll take care of the developer. Every whim and demand of the developer will be taken care of. So this is what is happening. And now in Fernando County, you have this half-cent sales tax increase. At the same time, they want to build a boardwalk in the Meeting Watch Preserve. I say no, you half-cent increase and a no to the boardwalk in the Meeting Watch Preserve. And we have a parting with in Sumter County.
I gave you 1 minute.
In Sumter County, we have the tax increase coming in the form of the fire district. And this is another law that's sponsored by Fred Hayes, passed by the legislature, and we have a referendum, just like you have the Hatchman referendum. And also, all these amendments, the tax increases, don't know on all the amendments.
Okay, thank you, Ash. I know we've all met Ash, most of us have, a very nice man. Wish him luck. Sumter and Lake DEC is here. I'm going to go to Lake Luann, if you want to say a couple things.
Okay. Thank you very much. I hope we have all got our fingers crossed. In Lake County, we have some great candidates, and we are doing door to door, and we need some help with phone calling if anybody wants to do that. This afternoon, or right after this meeting, we're going to do some door to door in Fruitland Park. We really need to turn people out. If anybody would like to see Charlie Crist in person, he will be at the Democratic headquarters in Lake County, which is in Mount Dora, tomorrow at 1:30. So you can go on Lake Dems and look for that and find the information if you're interested. Also, we have a couple of Democrats who would like to do standouts in front of the Lake County election places here in Moyer. And so if anybody wants to do standing out with signs on election day, please let me know. Again, my name is Luann Cooter if you want to volunteer. Thank you.
Thank you, Luann. Luann, I was talking to her earlier, and she said that now there's some, due to redistricting, there's some Lake County folks that have to now, that aren't part of the village, that have to vote in the villages, so that's kind of creating some bad vibes.
It caused some confusion there. What happened was, if you're sitting in Tallahassee and you look, at a map, any of you know where Conservation Trail is and the preserve, that whole area? Well, on the other side of that is not the villages. But if you're in Tallahassee and you look at that, you think, oh, that's real close to the villages. Well, it takes you probably 15 minutes to get from there to here because you have to go all the way around in order to get there. I talked to the clerk that at the primary, and there was at least one person who came at a little bit before closing who was not able to vote because they came to the wrong place. And the person was mad, so they did not vote. So we're going to do door to door on all the Democrats over there to try and get everybody to vote early or go by mail. It's a little late to be trying to get a mail ballot right now if you haven't already signed up for it. So we will be trying to get them to vote in Leesburg or in Lady Lake at early voting before that. But we're doing the door-to-door. I mean, this is where the rubber hits the road, people. Everybody needs to volunteer. This is not a spectator sport.
Thanks, Luann. Okay, we've got Sumter DEC is here. Bob Berg is going to say a few things.
I got sharks. All right, I'm not going to read this to you, but basically the theme of the day is what are we doing to elect Democratic candidates to, in effect, defeat some of the top candidates, Rubio and so on. Yesterday we met with Eric and Andy and Chris and I to finalize some of our Get Out the Vote efforts, which just go on and on and on and on and on. We're basically using absolutely every tool that we have available. So if you have a cell phone and you're enrolled in Vote by Mail, you probably got a text message from us as directed by Sandy Ainsworth and her team. If you responded to it, you got a response to it too. So we are doing that locally. If you only have a landline in our system, you got a voicemail with my voice on it saying, your ballot's in the mail. If we only have an address for you, we mailed out a postcard with instructions about how to, get your vote back. We will repeat, kind of rinse and repeat for the non-VBMers. So that's kind of our Get Out the Vote effort. And of course, the umbrella over all of that is that we have a weekly newsletter that has voting information. And one of the things we had, if you did not get our slate card as you came in, or even if you did, we have an enhanced version of our slate card. My lovely bride of 47 years ran home and got a little addition to the bottom that has our recommendation on the fire district, the amendments, as well as the justices. So if you did not get that, we have these recommendations for you. So in addition to the things that we're doing here in Sumter County, our reach is well beyond the borders of Sumter County. As we were talking to Eric and Andy yesterday, it's like, well, when I say we send a text message or voicemail, it's not just going to Sumter County Democrats. We, over the last several months, have identified left-leaning no-party affiliates, and we are including them in our Get Out the Vote, because we know that we absolutely cannot win this election without reaching out beyond Democratic voters. So secondly, we are reaching out beyond the borders of Sumter County. There are 6 counties in the state that have no DEC, a Democratic Executive Committee like ours. We have adopted them, and so when I say we're going to send out texting and do robocalling, those are automatically included in our universe of Get Out the Vote. And then on Thursday, I was approached by Marion County who said, can you include the Marion County section of the villages as part of your Get Out the Vote? So it's like, okay, we can do that. We'll take your slate card, we will promote your slate card. Again, we have terrific candidates with Shantae Munns here for Congressional District 11. We have Ash Marwa, as you just heard his presentation. Their districts are slightly different, but all of them include Sumter County. So we are promoting. As you heard, we have a golf cart rally coming up on the 17th. We had Carlo Hernandez show up at our headquarters. We had about a day and a half notice to pull that together. That is pretty typical at this time of year for campaigns. We learn about, all of a sudden Charlie's going to be in Lake County tomorrow. And of course, when I hear that, I'm thinking, ooh, an opportunity to get signs. We've been begging for signs, there's supposed to be a bus coming around the state that's fully loaded with signs. So then your question might be, what can I do to help going forward? Well, we have a very active links program led by Chris Anderson, and this is where someone is the link to their neighborhood, and they would really serve as that connection point to Democrats or left-leaning no-party affiliates on your street or the streets surrounding. Like Lake County, we are doing canvassing, we are doing calling, we are doing texting. We always need people to do those types of things. We were just called the other day from an organization that is called Ride Share to Vote. And basically, They're looking for us to work with them to have people that will give reluctant voters, remove the barrier of trying to get to and from the polls. I don't know a lot about it, so we just got this the other day. You know, we always need help with messaging and graphics and those types of things. What I don't need is for somebody to suggest more things for me to do. My plate is actually quite full, and Sandy Ainsworth and Mark McCarty and I just led a statewide effort to text 1.2 million non-voters to enroll and vote, to register to vote before the deadline, which is next Tuesday. So we can do these types of things and fit them in, but my plate's pretty full. So I'm looking for somebody that can take ownership of a project and then just run with it. Let me give you one quick example. I got a call the other day from Leah Schwarting of the Daily Sun, and she said, "What are you guys doing for hurricane relief?" And it's like, God, wouldn't that be a great idea? But do I have the time to organize, you know, for drop off and coordinate with somebody to pick off and deliver and so on? It's like, as great a need as that is, it's like, I don't have the time to do that. But if someone was interested, now what kind of experience do you need? I don't know, I've never done that before. But we have the tools. We have a MailChimp list of about probably 60% of the registered Democrats that we can send out, you know, a request. So if someone said, okay, well, here's a flyer, you know, we'll staff headquarters at this time, this day. That's just an example. I mean, there are other types of things like that. And if absolutely all else fails, write a check. When Carla Hernandez was here Thursday morning, one of the things that she mentioned was the Chris campaign is getting outspent by 10 to 1. It's like how do you compete against that? Well, part of it's going door to door, part of it's having volunteers make calls, part of it's having volunteers do texting. But part of it is you have to be on TV, and it's very expensive here in Florida. So, you know, here in Sumter County, the Republicans get their headquarters comped, you know, from the developer. We pay rent for ours, and we have a very nice headquarters over in Wildwood, and we just asked that the lease be extended for 3 years, so that we will be a force through 20. If you want to volunteer, come up and see us after the program.
Question?
Go ahead.
The paper ballots, the mail-in ballots, when are they going to go out? You know when they're going to be mailed?
All right, the question is, when did the ballots go out? They were mailed, most of them were mailed starting Thursday the 6th. So you can go on the supervisor election website under your information, put in your first name, last name, date of birth, check that you're not a robot. It will tell you exactly when it was mailed. But most of them were mailed starting the 6th. It's generally done over several days, and the mail should take about 2 or 3 days. And again, back to vote by mail stuff, the ballots have to be received by the supervisor of election on election day. Postmark does not matter. It has to be received. Go ahead.
And we've always gotten our ballot, but we haven't gotten it yet. What if for some reason we don't get a ballot? If someone doesn't get a ballot, that has registered to vote by mail.
Okay, great question again. What happens if we don't receive our ballot? We have Eric is leading a voter protection team, and we have several subgroups under that. One is undeliverable ballots. Let's say you had a grandchild in Maryland and you went back temporarily and you asked the post office to forward your mail while you went to share the joy of, in addition to your family. the post office by law cannot forward your ballot. Now, you could call the supervisor of election and have them mail it directly to you in Maryland, but your ballot can't be forwarded. That will be returned to the supervisor of election as undelivered. So we have a team, if you want to volunteer for the undeliverable team, to call people and say, you need to update your address so that you get your ballot. So that's one part of voter protection. Next is cures. And so if Ann and I are at the kitchen table and we're talking about who we're going to vote for and this and that and the other, and we start the shuffle and the newspaper comes in and all our paperwork, this, that, and the other, and I happen to put my ballot in her return envelope, that's the beginning of trouble for me. Now, this happens in less than 1% of the vote, but her name is on her return envelope on the back right below the barcode, and my name's on my return ballot just below the barcode. And so I sign and date my return envelope, and if we don't, then it's a signature mismatch, and those mismatched, it's easy to cure them, but we need to call and say, look, your ballot was rejected because of signature issues. We can fix it, but we need volunteers to do that. We had great response to our poll waivers and watchers. We filled almost every shift, if not every shift. And we also then, on the day of election, we staff a boiler room, which is all of the election waivers and watchers are outside watching to make sure that there's no funny business, no intimidation, that the gates are up. Like they said, the gates are going to be up, and the Republicans are not running around getting in people's faces trying to intimidate them. If they are, our waivers and watchers are calling our boiler room. Our boiler room is reporting it statewide, and we are keeping track of, the nonsense that's going on. Or we're there as witnesses to say, nothing happened. The election went off as smoothly as possible. So we have people that we're looking for people to help staff the boiler room. It's remote. We're just, you're checking, you have a shift on your computer where you're monitoring that, Ann and Chris have checked in where they're supposed to and that they're in place and that nothing's going on. Our goal is to have nothing happen. And these will be the most boring opportunities. The other thing that you can do is, we have one person signed up outside the polling locations. Swing by your polling location. Take some water to our waivers. Stop by and chat with them and have a great time. Democrats love to talk to each other, so that's why we're here this morning. You're full of questions, full of good questions too, so keep it up.
What if my ballot just simply doesn't show up in the mail?
If my ballot simply doesn't show up in the mail, you can call the supervisor of election and request another one, but as time gets closer and closer, we have 12 days of early voting in addition to election day, and you can go in at any location on early voting or on election day and just say, I want to vote in person. You do not need your ballot. And if they say you do, you come see our poll waivers and watchers, and we'll call the supervisor of election and say they're giving out misinformation, you need to vote.
Do I have to give them water?
You have to give us waivers water. Anyway, the Republicans are doing everything they can to suppress vote. Your vote by mail ballot, you can mail it back, or every early voting location has a drop box. But on election day, you can only go to your polling locations, and they do not have drop boxes. The drop boxes on election day are only at the supervisor of election headquarters. Here in Sumter County, it'll be on Powell Road, the supervisor of election office there, or down at Bushnell. And Bushnell's open till 7, but the one here in Wildwood is only open till 5 on election day for those drop-offs. But we don't want them that late. All right, I'm sure I missed something, but great questions. Thank you for asking. Okay. Oh, here it is.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Mike. Let me talk to this. Hello, everybody. I'm Eric Lipsetz, your first vice president. I work with Bob on the voter protection program. We've heard a lot today about mechanics. I'm here to tell you this. We are going to win this election in 2022. We are going to consign Ron DeSantis to that ash heap of history to which he belongs. We are going to have Charlie Crist start appointing judges that actually enforce the rights of people instead of enforcing the rights of a very small minority. We are going to take Marco Rubio and toss him out on his ear in the Senate. We are going to control the Senate, we are going to appoint new judges, and we are going to control the House of Representatives. This is what's coming to us a month from now. I invite all of you to come and help, and another round of applause would be appreciated as for ourselves. Please give ourselves a round of applause. Now, one of the things that we did in the primary that, and I sent out to poll watchers a comment about, is there were things that happened in the primary that we can do better in the general. One of the places where we didn't do the best that we can possibly do was with signs. And so the first thing I'm going to ask you all to do, and we are short on signs. When people, Democrats, pull into the polling place, we want there to be a sea of signs that say, vote for Charlie Crist, vote for Shantae Munn, vote for Val Demings, so that we do not have this little isolated golf cart that sits there and is almost lost in the Republican cacophony of noise. So those of you who have brought signs, can we borrow them for the election? We need signs. Like you and you. If we can borrow your signs, that will do us great. Now, the other thing that I wanted to ask here is, among this group, who has volunteered to do poll watching, ballot chasing, and ballot curing? Good. All of you people, please put your hands down. For those of you who didn't raise your hand, we need 10 people. We need 10 people to do a hardest job of them all. And we need 10 to do that. And what we need people to do is to do the signage. We need people to get to the polling places before they open and put up signs, and then we need another set of people to go collect them that particular day so that the next day we put up signs. So when a voter turns into a polling place, whether it be Alamanda or the Gold Dome, what we want them to see is a sea of Democratic signs. We need people to help make those signs. And so for those people who have yet to find something to do, the good news, the bad news is we have the hardest job left for you to do. I'll be sitting right over here with the people from the DEC. If you want to be one of those 10 people who take on this onerous job, which I will be doing also, please see me at the conclusion of the meeting. We'll get your name. We're going to have a sign making party so that when people come to vote, they will see the one thing that people always complain about not seeing in the villages. They will know that the Democrats are here, that we are serious about this particular election, that we stand strong, and that we are going to win this election, not just for Florida, but for the United States of America. Come see me right over here, and I'll get your name.
Okay, we're running a little late, folks, so basically this is from Michael Moore, and he's quite active in politics, as you know, and this is his, it's a pretty accurate list, the Republican agenda to-do list, and it's keeping poor. This started with Reagan. Well, it probably started before that. I mean, with Nixon, but certainly with Reagan, keeping poor, keeping sick, keeping stupid, especially with Reagan. I mean, because he really burned our public education, and they've been on a roll since taking that away. But what we'll do is we'll make sure that this gets out to everybody on a buzz. So we'll go to all members. And and plus it's all the above to control women. It's just I just get so flustered. It's like damn, it's like the Taliban or something. And so anyway, I don't know how any woman could vote for any Republican anywhere for anything, but it happens. So that's my own opinion. I don't speak for the club, but that's probably other people do. And it's certainly blame single-minded poverty, welfare fraud, breeding animals, breeding criminals, and destroying the fabric of America. Oh my God, it's like the Dismas, So anyway, we'll put this all in the buzz, like I say, and this, like every speaker today, this is hugely important that we vote. Do what you can. Vote. Talk to your friends. Talk to your neighbors. Have them vote. What's important about that is that it's that a lot of people get apathetic. You look at the polls, and the polls are ahead. They say, well, it doesn't mean you get to vote, but that's just not true. So anyway, get out there and vote. Get your friends, grab them up, and encourage them to vote. Like Bob said, visit a polling place, give encouragement to the watchers. And with that, we're getting ready to adjourn. I have somebody in the tea room left a sweater. I don't know whose that is, and there's a pair of glasses also down there. So come find us. And this light's kind of bright since I was golfing a couple days ago, and I wore these glasses, and they look like Biden's Ray-Bans. I golf in a group with 16 people, and I'm the only damn. So it turns out that this guy looks at me and says, there were new glasses. I said, well, okay. And he says, you look like Biden. So that's another thing that triggers him. We've got an hour and 15 minutes into this meeting. So, we could go on and on, but I think everyone's had enough. And all you people that have signs, please return them out to I'll leave them here because we're going to use them again. And I know there was something else that Diane asked me to say, but I don't know what that was. I mean, it's been less than an hour and it's gone. So anyway, for Larry, spend just, Larry, a couple minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
How many of you know a Democrat that you could feel comfortable calling on the phone and saying, hey, you're gonna vote, right? If you're not willing to go call strangers or knock on a stranger's door, do you have a relative any place in the country, any place, that you would call and say, hey, would you vote? Be sure to vote. It's so important that we vote. So call your friends, call your family, I don't care where they are, and encourage them to vote. And then say, and will you please call your friends, your family, I don't care where they are, and ask them to vote. And then ask them to ask them to ask. It becomes exponential. You may not be comfortable asking strangers. You may not want to knock on doors, but we all have friends. We all have family. Call them. Do it. How many of you will do this? Okay, if you all do that, imagine it. I mean, and it doesn't cost any money.
I just found out Larry was a past president of this club. So, everybody, what do you say we adjourn for today?